Hey folks, it's Ivan with Nerdwork Network and Computer Enthusiast Master Race. Today I got a new video of the Define CTG build vlog series and how-to guides. Today what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be etching the tempered glass of the side panel, give it a little bit more of a custom look. So I wanted to show you all how I'm going to achieve this. Got some stuff laid out before me, as you can see though. I just wanted to go over a quick explanation of some of this stuff and then I'll get to it. First off, to achieve this though, we're going to be using a chemical compound called etch. Basically what it's going to do is once you apply it to the surface, after a certain period of time, it's going to eat into the glass and kind of give it that frosted etched look to it. This stuff is pretty dangerous. It can cause severe burns, which may or may not be immediately painful or visible, may be fatal or cause permanent damage to skin, eyes, or respiratory tract. Refer to the back panel. It's also recommended for ages 18 and over, so please be careful with this stuff. If you do happen to get it on you, if you follow this guide, wash it off immediately with warm soapy water and make sure every last bit of it's off on that. So anyways, I would highly recommend wearing some gloves on that. These are just nylon gloves. Nothing fancy about that. I also have some safety glasses that may be a little bit overboard, but I'm very protective of my eyes and I want to make sure that none of it gets in there. To apply it though, there's no real proper way I guess you can apply it as long as it gets on there, but I'm going to be using a soft tip brush, painter's brush, and I'll have links for all of this stuff in the description as always too. But you just need to make sure you have a good even coating over the surface as well too, with no gaps here and there. To clean the surface though, I'm going to be using isopropyl alcohol, get all those dirty fingerprints off of there, any dust, grime, or anything that may be hiding on there. Of course, I have the in process that also will work with cleaning it. But in order to get my design transferred onto the tempered glass, what I'm going to be using is vinyl. I'm going to be making a stencil out of this. You could use other things to make a stencil, but I prefer vinyl as well. It's adhesive and it sticks on there and works phenomenal with a lot of different modifications. To transfer the vinyl though, I'm going to be using a painter's tape. You could use a transfer paper as well too though, but painter's tape's cheaper. But a variety of different ways you could use to cut the vinyl itself though is either using a razor blade with a lot of concentration. You could get some pretty cool designs. I know some people do some great work with a razor blade and just vinyl, but I'm not that talented with that, so I'm going to be using a vinyl cutter. I'll be using the Silhouette Cameo 3, and I'll do a quick snippet of doing the cutting with that as well though. But anyways, so this little stuff here is just for help with the vinyl. You'll see it in action in a minute. But yeah, anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and get to it, and I'm going to swap sides over that and kind of give you a bit of a hands-down view of me doing the modification for it. So, hope you enjoy. Alright folks, we're back. I may go ahead and do a different overlay on this, but anyways, I'm just going to go over the steps real quick and use that for the recording process too later if I need to. But what you're going to go ahead and do first on that, of course, like I said, make sure you have a good clean surface. Get any fingerprints, dust, grime, or any of that off using a 91% isopropyl alcohol. I guess it really doesn't matter in this case which percentage on the alcohol. Just make sure the surface is clean. Make sure it's nice and dry too. I love seeing that effect with alcohol. You just go whoosh. Just want to make sure you have a good clean surface on there. Now there is some streaking on the glass in a little bit. That's actually on the back side. I cleaned up some of the fingerprints on that, so don't need to worry about that. All right, I think I got a good clean on there. So the design, I was torn between mine and Fractal Designs logo, so I decided to go ahead and just go with Fractal Design. Got it pretty much cut out to the way I want it. So what I'm going to go ahead and do next is just take the painter's tape and evenly apply pressure to the vinyl. Gonna make it a little bit bigger than what it actually needs to be. Like I said, you could use transfer paper for this as well too. Doesn't really matter in that case. Now, I made a box around my design to make it easier to actually see what I'm doing on here. So I'm not covering that part up completely. There should be plenty of tape to actually get the vinyl off of the backing or piece, and me still be able to apply it because I'm trying to get this as symmetrical as possible. Now that's stuck a little bit on there, so let's just make sure there's no residue from the tape. Alright, so let's pull the vinyl back. At this point, it is just simple as can be. Make sure you have a good backing on it, and you just pull the back off. And you want to go a little slow on it. Sometimes it doesn't want to pull it all the way up. So if it looks like it's messing up, then just slowly pull it back out or push it back. Get a little bit more pressure and it should be good. I could leave that like that, but I want to make sure everything is as good as can be before I apply this down to the tempered glass. You only get one shot at this. Another thing too, if you want to try in this mod, I recommend you do what I did and practice. Okay. Should have pulled that away first, but oh well. I'm just getting some excess off here real quick. Okay. Alright, so now I'm going to line it up. I have a little excess down there in the bottom, but I can still see where I'm wanting to put it at. And then just apply it down. Get some good pressure on it. That's what this little thing's for. So I want to make sure that sticks to the tempered glass before actually pulling it up, so you don't ruin your design. You don't have to recut it again. Alright, so now I'm going to take off the painter's tape, and everything should still be there. May have a few bubbles here and there, that's fine. You can work those out if you need to. It doesn't have to be perfect on this, you're just wanting it as the stencil. Alright. Now I'm going to recycle this here in a moment, so I'm just going to stick that down there. I want to check, make sure my design's good. Like I said, this is permanent. You get one shot at this. And this is just the little square that I cut, or had the cutter add into the design. Help make sure everything's lined up good and stuff. A few little places I'm just pushing down here and there, nothing too much. Okay, so I'm going to recycle this and place it back up top here on the area I do not want etched. I want to make sure that's pressed down flat. It'll give me a little lip there so I can get it off easier later. You want to do that to the whole area you are not wanting the cream to get onto. Now, if you do happen to get some cream on some of the places that you don't want it, you can wash it off real fast. Warm soapy water helps to get it off. But you got to be fast on it because this stuff only takes about 15 minutes for it to start, or to completely finish. As soon as it gets on there, it starts eating it away. Of course, you can't really see that. You'd have to have a pretty good microscope for it or something, I'd say. It's kind of cool to see it and the reaction that's having, but yeah. I got some edges here on the side I want to make sure it's covered up too. It's excessive, but still. Okay, so I got my design on there. Really hoping this is straight. I think it is straight as I'm going to get it. If not, then, well, I have my one chance. You may be able to see a little bit of a design now, but that's the reason why I have this little pick here. And I'm just going to go ahead and lift up on the edges. Be careful not to mess up the parts that you want to stay on there. And I'm just going to peel it off. Get a pile of the excess. Make sure everything's good on there. Now the thing about this vinyl, I use permanent adhesive vinyl because I use it for other things as well too. But it takes it a moment for the adhesive to actually cure on there. So don't leave this on. Well, I mean, it varies depending on what type of vinyl, but if you're using the one I have linked, I usually just get sample packs of all these colors because I rarely ever use the vinyl itself or something. Just make stencils like this. But if you leave it on for too long, it is hard as can be to get off. You can eventually get it off, but I mean, it really is hard, especially if it cures outside in sunlight. Then it is a pain. But as you can see though, like I said, I was trying to determine which logo I wanted, whether if I wanted mine or Fractal Designs, and I went with Fractal Designs. But you can do anything you want on there. I even thought about possibly putting a snowflake up top. I may do that at a later time. And no, this build is not sponsored by Fractal or any other company. This is all on me. Now my original intention was doing my logo for this one, as this was going to be my baby project. However, this project was planned before Fractal decided to release the Define R6. Which at that time I was using the Define S for my main machine's case. And if you all haven't guessed by now, I'm a very big fan of Fractal Design and their cases. Majority of the cases I've owned over the years have been Fractal. But anyways though, I digress on that. This was before the Define R6. And so I was going to make this my baby project, and I was going to continue to have my main machine in the Define R, or not the Define R6, the Define S, keep my main machine in the Define S. But then when they announced the Define R6, I got all giggly like a schoolgirl and decided I wanted to get that one instead for my main machine. So I was able to get my hands on one. Thank you, Fractal, for making my dream case come true, per se. Not my 100% dream case, but it is close on. It is by far like my, everything I do to cases, it was addressed on there. Couldn't be more pleased with it. So, anyways, I'm digressing way too much. Getting off topic. No, the original idea for this was to have my, this be my baby case, get a lot of the design choices and stuff on it, and yeah, so I decided against that when I realized about that, and I was getting my hands on one of the R6s. I'm just shaking up the armor itch right now. Got some dry residue of it. Okay, I'll just move it over there. It's in on the glass. Dry stuff shouldn't cause any problems. Alright, so I'm going to take my paper towel here so I don't get this stuff everywhere. And let's get an even coating on it. Get my brush in there. See, and that's why I wear gloves. Already got some on my glove. Better get that off my glove before it eats through the glove. Anyways though, so originally was going to go ahead and do my logo on this one, but since the Define R6 came out, that one's going to get a lot of my attention on that. This is still a good project of mine. I'm very excited at getting this done. However, I wanted to give this one more of a universal look and not just dedicated just for myself. So, all right, got the glass or tempered glass on there. Everything's good. Or tempered glass, got the vinyl on there. Everything's good with that. All of it's pressed down, so you're just gonna do your even layer of this stuff. Make sure you get good coverage on all of it. You may have to do a little bit of an extra coating here. That's fine. All just depends on the size of your design that you're doing. Once again, make sure you're in a very well ventilated area, and I hope you don't mind the smell of, it smells like rotted eggs, sulfur. It's got that sulfur smell to it. It's probably one of the compounds in it. Get a good layer of it. Just be very liberal with it, consistent. Just want to make sure everything gets covered as possible. Don't want any pieces not covered up on there, because then you're going to have to try to fix it the best you can, and you may not be able to. I've said it 100 times already. You get one shot at this. Well, I mean, you probably get more than one shot. Quickly wash it off, things like that, reapply, make some changes to it and stuff, but you get what I'm saying. All right. Make sure that R gets good and covered. It's not wanting to. That looks pretty good. Yep, made a little bit on the D there. Looks pretty good, so gonna go ahead and let this sit for a moment. Get my brush cleaned up in a second. And should be all set. Just gonna go ahead and let it sit for about 15-20 minutes. That way so it can do its thing. I'm gonna check back on it periodically. Make sure everything looks good on the coverage wise. May reapply a little bit here and there, not too much. And then we'll get it washed off of that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and let this sit for about 15 minutes or so, and I'll be back here shortly. Alright folks, we're back. Got everything washed off and cleaned up on there for the most part. Still a little water on the tape and all that, but yeah, that's not going to harm it, just tempered glass. But yeah, so got that all taken care of. So now I'm just going to, excuse me, going to go ahead and peel off all of this, and we'll see what the finished product looks like. I'll get all the tape off first. Then we will get the vinyl. Set all that to the side. Oh, that one went under it. A little bit of water on there. Let me just dab that dry real quick. Got alcohol already on this. Prepped for a little bit. Get some of that residue off the tape. All right. Moment of truth. This was left on for about 20 minutes. So just peel that off right there. May have some residue on there. So, it's sticking to me. Don't pay attention to the design just yet. There may still be some of the cream on it. I think I got most of it off, but we'll rub it down here in a moment. This design has some fine cuts to it, so that's the reason why. Being a little tricky in some spots. Nothing we can't handle though, isn't that right, folks? Everything looks pretty symmetrical to me. I think I got it pretty good. Alright, let's peel off some of this. I'm trying my best just to get the vinyl itself. I don't want to scratch any of the glass. This pick does have a pretty sharp tip to it. This is thick glass though, but still want to be extra careful. I have to say, I think this turned out very good. I am very pleased with this. Alright, I think my alcohol's dried up. Let's dab a little bit more on there. And you're just going to go ahead and wipe away any residue or excess or cream, things like that. Remember, I'm using isopropyl alcohol. Shouldn't have any adverse effects to it. And some residue on the back from that tape, we'll get that later. Love doing that. Well, folks, there it is. It's got a bit of a glare going on right now with the camera and the light and everything overhead and stuff, but you can see a little bit of it, and that design got on there great. I am extremely satisfied with these results. So yeah, just bear with me, it's not finished yet. I'm going to go ahead and mount the panel up onto it and show you what it looks like with some lights behind it. So stay tuned, just 1 second. Alright folks, we're back. Got everything mounted back up on the case. Got it nice and secure on there. First off, pardon the case and everything. This is still a working project, so missing the back panel on there. Don't have the vertical PCI bracket installed right now as I'm doing some other things with that, and the front panel still has some painter's tape on it from when I cut that up and everything. But anyways, I digress. Pardon that. But yeah, everything turned out really well with the etching. I really do enjoy it, or I'm really satisfied with the results. I don't think it could have turned out any better on that for the type of application this is. Of course, if I had a laser etcher, things like that, it would be a lot better in that case, but it's pretty on par with a lot of it. It does have a bit of a texture to it over the glass as well too, so it does have that feel on there. And it does reflect light pretty well as well. I have some the LEDs in there I'm going to go ahead and turn on in just a moment. The only problem that I noticed with it, and it's only depending on the angle that you look at, is the L's a little bit lighter on some parts. I guess I didn't get decent enough coverage on that, but it's only depending on the angle. When you come back looking at it straight out, it looks just perfectly fine. No problem with it. But like I said though, this was a very simple modification. It's on the cheap as well too. I'll have links for everything in the description for Amazon. That way so you can get the stuff for it, try it out yourself. I highly recommend though that you do follow the instructions in terms of safety. This stuff is very volatile. Well, not volatile, but harmful to you. It will burn you and it can cause some serious damage. I mean, think about it. This stuff is eating through glass. So it kind of makes you think, yeah. Anyways, I digress. So just follow the safety instructions. Then you should be fine on it. The application though, it turns out great. But let me go ahead and turn off the overhead light. So I apologize for the darkness. It'll take a moment for the camera to adjust probably. Man, talk about some low light on that camera. But anyways, let me go ahead and get these LEDs on. I just had an extra set of reds that I popped in there for it. I'll go ahead and you should see a picture popping up here in a second what the test application looked like in front of a RGB LEDs just off of a motherboard, so I can give you an idea on this stuff. And when the case is lit up even more than that, it really does pop and it looks great. So once again, highly satisfied with the result. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this. If you have any questions about it, comments or anything, please do make a post on it. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. Of course, if you're not subscribed, I'd really appreciate that as well too. Your subscriptions and stuff give me the motivation to continue to do more things like this. Channel's really set off in the past few months, and I greatly appreciate all the support. But also, if you're not a member of Computer Enthusiast Master Race, the link will be in the description as always. We'd love to have you over there. We got a lot of cool projects we're working on right about now, so be sure to head on over there and check them out. But thank you for watching, so until the next time, have a good day.